There's going to be a government shutdown. That's going to happen. Okay.
You think?
And yes. I don't see how. So here's what's happening. So it's called they're trying to put a resolution to keep funding the government for a month, right? So there's continuing resolution. Now the Republicans passed a bill out of the House, and in it they're going to fund the government if the president and the Democrats in the Senate agreed to defund Obamacare. So that's not going to happen. So what happens is then Harry Reid brings the bill up, and then he strips that out of the bill, and then they vote on that bill in the Senate without the defund. And then they have to send it back to the House for reconciliation, right, because the bill has changed now. So now what a lot of the Republicans want to do, what a lot of them want to do, is go ahead and pass that, say, okay, and then we'll take our fight to the debt ceiling. But there's a lot of them who don't. A lot of them still want to fight over the continuing resolution. And there just doesn't seem to be enough time for John Boehner to come up with another resolution, get it passed by both houses and signed by the Congress before it gets before the government shutdown happens, right?
Right.
So I don't think that's going to happen. So I think the government's going to shut down for a bit. They're going to get a shorter resolution for maybe a month. But what John Boehner is trying to do, because he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. He's stuck between the teabaggers, right, and his corporate donors, and doing what is possible. Because what is possible is, here's what they're going to try and do. He's trying to fake out his base by saying, listen, we can't win on this a continuing resolution. We can't win on this. We have to fund the government. We can't win on this one. They got it. But where we can stick it to them is on the debt ceiling, which they also can't win on the debt ceiling, right? So here's what they're doing. They're floating a bill. The problem is the Tea Party won't go along with John Boehner. They won't fund the goddamn government, right? That is the problem. So John Boehner has to come up with something for these tea baggers to come on his side and vote and move the government along, right? So what they've come up with, they're starting to float this.
This wish list that they have going?
This wish list that they have going.
Now, I call it a ransom note, actually. It's more like a ransom note to me. I mean, it's going to have all kinds of wonderful things in it.
Well, here's what it includes, Desi. Is the National Review got a hold of this, and it tax on items including a 1-year delay of Obamacare, tax reform in the image of Representative Paul Ryan's plan. So they want to defund Obamacare, get rid of it, institute Paul Ryan's tax plan, approve the Keystone Pipeline, expand offshore drilling, and other pro-oil and pro-coal energy reforms.
So-called.
Increase in military spending, coupled with deeper cuts to domestic programs. So cut Medicare and Social Security, increase military spending, implement Paul Ryan's tax plan, get rid of the signature legislation of Obamacare. So what they're doing is, hey, we lost the election again to the black guy with the Muslim name. Why don't we get to do what we want? So that's how the Republicans see it. We lost the election. Okay, we want to do what we want. What happens when you win the election? We get to do what we want. So Republicans don't understand you lost the election. Well, Republicans do, but the teabaggers don't.
No.
They don't understand they lost the election twice. So they wanted to defund Obamacare, which Obama ran on twice and won twice. So they wanted to fund that. It's not going to happen. They're going to put it all on the debt ceiling. So when the debt ceiling comes up for a vote, here's my theory. What's going to happen is they're going to try and hold Barack Obama, they're trying to hold the Democrats' feet to the fire on this. We're not going to raise the debt ceiling unless you do all this stuff we want. They're not going to negotiate on the debt ceiling. Wall Street and corporate America is going to come crushing down on John Boehner, and they're going to raise the debt ceiling. That is what's going to happen. Okay, now, it might not. Things might go crazy, and we might just crash our entire economy because of a handful of teabaggers. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Wall Street and General Electric and Boeing and Halliburton are going to come down hard on John Boehner and the teabaggers, and they're going to raise the debt ceiling. So the key here, Desi, to keep in mind, John Boehner has no plan. There is no plan. He's just treading water right now. He has no plan on how to fund the government and appease his teabagging base. He has no plan. His plan right now is to bullshit them until the debt ceiling. And then when the debt ceiling comes, find a way to cave. He's going to try to find a way to cave. And I don't. So let's. You know what? We actually have a.
Yeah, this is an interesting quote for him from Boehner on his demands and what he expects as far as from President Obama on the debt limit.
Yes.
We're going to introduce a plan that ties important spending cuts and pro-growth reforms to a debt limit increase. Now the president says, "I'm not going to negotiate." Well, I'm sorry, but it just doesn't work that way. So apparently, if you lose the election, you are required not to negotiate, and everybody else has to negotiate with you.
Yes, that's it. The people who lose the election get to set the agenda, implement their programs, and run the government the way they want. And the people who lost the election, it doesn't work that way. You don't get to do what you want. That's not how, according to John Boehner, that's not how.
Well, they're going to keep trying. I mean, listen, we've had to go through this so many different ways, so many times we've had to go through this whole process. You know, it's obvious that it gets something for them because they keep doing it, and they'll keep doing it until, I guess, they get drummed out of office.
It's what happens when the base of your party becomes detached from reality, and they live in a right-wing information bubble where facts and accurate information don't often show up. So it's just their wish of how they want the world to be, and we're seeing it happen again. And we saw it happen in the Mitt Romney election when they would come out and go, "Oh, don't listen to the polls. Mitt Romney's going to win." Don't. So they create, because reality is too painful for these teabaggers, they create an alternative reality, right?
Yeah.
Which is where they can somehow defund a law that was passed in the last 2 Congresses ago, or 3. They can somehow defund this and get rid of a law, even though they lost the election. Even though they lost. So this is, that's what happens when your base becomes detached from reality and you have no real leaders in your party. They have no real leaders in their party right now, the Republican. They have John Boehner and Mitch McConnell. Those are your leaders. You're in trouble.